And welcome back to another episode of the Afterburners podcast. It feels great. We took a little bit of a hiatus. We did our own, unleashed our own little, we did kind of like a Szechuan sauce like McDonald's did when they released the famous sauce. We went away for a little bit. We're back. We're better than ever. More explosions, more nudity, more cursing. We're really excited. And we're really excited to introduce our newest co-host, Mr. Mike Gervais. Mike, hello. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm well. How's things over there, guys?
Good. And just one quick correction. So we've been on very limited samples the past few weeks, mostly because of Sam's busy schedule. Ask him about it sometime. He plays every recreational sport known to man. But we're like the Szechuan sauce in that there were only like 20 packets at McDonald's. People waited in line to get them. They got really mad when they weren't there. It's the same thing. People were like, there were only like 5 episodes of this podcast. Where are more episodes? So we're back by popular demand, not quite as popular as an entire fan base like Rick and Morty asking for us to be back, but we're back.
I think most of the popular demand, though, Bobby, that was on your end. It was like your rabid fan base. Whereas for me, I don't really have a fan base. I'm pretty sure Mike has a very rabid fan base too. But for most of it, you kept getting asked. People were like, oh, really, Afterburners Pod is coming back. We are back. We're better than ever. We're excited, guys. We got some good stuff coming up for you today. Before we get into what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit of Austin Sefarian Jenkins. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, who cares? On brand. If I didn't pronounce it correctly, we got a little bit of stuff going on. Bobby's got some big news he wants to share. We're going to go over our top 3 Dynasty quarterbacks that we're ranking week 8? Week 8 NFL 2017. Before we get into all of that, let's kind of go over what we've been going on. Mike, what have you been doing over the last 3 weeks or so? Any big news other than crushing us in our Dynasty Football League?
Well, I mean, I am crushing you guys in that. I'm also crushing it in our Fantasy Hockey League as well.
Whoa. I'm not part of fantasy hockey. You might be crushing me in fantasy football, but I will not be crushed in something I'm not even participating in.
Sam's in the league. Sam's doing well. He's in 3rd place.
That's right. Well, what? Ovi, baby.
I'm in 1st. I'm just getting used to views from the top. I'm like Drake. But other than that, no, not up to much. I bought a car, so I picked that up on Thursday.
What kind of car?
It's a used car, but it's a 2014 Chevy Cruze.
Nice, man. Nice. Congratulations. Me, I'm continuing sucking at in our 2 quarterback Dynasty League. It's over on myfantasyleague.com. As Bobby said, I'm just doing every rec sport. A little bit of a cold spell right now in terms of Bumble and Tinder game, but we're going to bounce back on that horse. Don't you worry. I got some phone numbers saved up. I think everyone, though, the biggest news, it has to be the news that Bobby has to share with us. Bobby, what has been going on with you?
Well, before that, I would just like to say, in the summer, Sam had been using hashtag Summer of Sam for all his social media posts. Now that it's fall of Sam. And his cold spell seems to correspond to his fall from grace. So maybe
that's true.
Hashtag. The news that I have is I have joined Dynasty League Football. I'm writing for them now and doing rankings. It's awesome. I've been reading their site for 3+ years. I've been working on Zach's blog and doing this podcast basically in hopes that they'd someday notice me, and now I'm one of them. So I think I told one of the writers when he first started talking to me, he's like, are you familiar with my work? And I said, yeah, this is going to sound a little like a kid wearing the band's t-shirt at the concert, but I've read pretty much everything you've wrote.
Yeah, we're all happy for you, Bob. That's great. You guys can check him out, dynastyfootballleague.com. He's putting out some great stuff over there. We're going to get right into it. Mike, give us where we can reach you on Twitter, and then let's get started.
Yeah, sure. For those of you who aren't part of my rabid following already, you guys can reach me at Mike Jarvis, just all one word. It's MikeGervais.
You can find me at The Needy One, THENEDIONE. We're at Afterburners Pod. Bobby, you wrote a great piece talking about chasing the targets, right?
Yep.
And then your first piece, one of the guys that we wanted to discuss that I think perhaps they might make an appearance in here is Austin Sefarian Jenkins. So number one, where can we reach you? And number two, what do we think about Austin Sefarian Jenkins long term?
So for all 5 of you that weren't asking about the podcast, or sorry, all 5 of you that asked about the podcast, you know where to find me. My rabid following apparently is now 5 people.
Got to start somewhere.
But it's REKED Fantasy. You'll find I have a background of fall in the background just because I'm incredibly basic. I like my
so basic
lattes. And in regards to your question, before I get too stat heavy, I'm just going to say that ASJ is for real and people should be buying into the breakout. I'll support it with stats, but I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely buying into the breakout. He was a guy who last year I really wanted it to happen and it didn't. So I kind of soured on him a little bit. And, I'll admit, I thought I was hot shit this time last year as a fantasy football player because I had won some redraft leagues in the past and whatnot. I was like, yeah, I can beat these clowns. It wasn't until I got into this Dynasty league that I really had to up my game and my knowledge because I was like, holy shit, these guys are, basically just checkmating me all over the board. I was like, I can't let that happen. So ASJ, who got in the summer, it was said that he kind of got rid of the personal demons. He's starting to grow up a little bit. And then Bobby wrote the article about chasing the targets, and ASJ, which I will refer to him as because I can't pronounce his name. He was in Bobby's article, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to really look at this guy. And he missed, the first 2 games of the season. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, yeah, target. And it just so happened that when the week Bobby put out the article, my tight end, Charles Clay, went down with an injury. So I was like, shit, I got to buy somebody here because there's fuck all out on the waiver wire. And ASJ was proposed to me in a trade, and it didn't take me long to jump on him.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I can't pronounce his name either, so very good job with ASJ there, Mike. Number two, I think the funnest part about it is what he said in terms of the Jets culture from this year to last year. He said it's fucking night and day. So I like anybody that comes out there and talks to the New York Daily News dropping F-bombs. I mean, I'll cheer for this guy nonstop. Now, the fact that he was hurt, I'm talking about Clay now, the fact that Clay was hurt, Mike, and you picked him up, you read my man's article, it was like fate. This is absolutely fate is what it was. He's crushing it right now. What's his target percentage has to be up there, right, Bobby?
So, first of all, you think that I would have traded for him when I wrote that article? I don't know why I didn't. There's a few guys like that I felt bad that I didn't do. But just to go into some of the stats here. So over the last 3 weeks, he has 3 touchdowns, 4 red zone targets. He's playing at least 75% of the snaps for the Jets. And this is a guy who was a former second-round pick in the draft. We used to talk about him in dynasty circles the way we talk about O.J. Howard or Evan Ingram or Njoku now. He was that well thought of. But then, he had some problems with alcohol. He had some maturity issues. Just to kind of echo what Mike was saying there, I really liked the fact that 2 weeks ago, there was a really controversial reversal of a touchdown catch that he had. And he came out and basically said, listen, if that's what the refs say, that's what they say. I got to play better so that situation doesn't even happen.
That was a goal line at the Patriots game, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it came against the Patriots, of course, because the Jets just can't have anything nice.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to me, it looked like a touchdown 100%. And something that I'd like to touch on, and I think it could be a huge reason why he's doing so well and getting all these targets, is let's not discredit Josh McCown. Josh McCown's the most accurate passer in the NFL this year, statistically at 70%. Why? Because he doesn't have a huge arm. So he looks for those short and intermediate routes that tight ends usually run. ASJ is a great security blanket for Josh McCown. When you're second and goal from the 6-yard line, boom, you throw it out to your monster tight end who's 6'5" and 260 pounds. He's going to win those mismatches.
ASJ is definitely packing a Pringles can down his pants, guys. Where are we ranking him right now in terms of tight ends, Dynasty League tight ends?
Going forward, I'd put him top 10 for sure. I'd probably put him I'd put him top 10. I'd put him probably somewhere around 7th or 8th.
I like him at 5th. I like him at number 5, top 5. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty bold. I'd have to check my own rankings, which if you're a subscriber, you can actually find on dynastyleaguefootball.com. You go to Dynasty 2 quarterback rankings. You can even click on my name.
Shameless plug.
And find specifically my rankings. But a friend of ours' rankings is also there. His name's Zach. All the guys who do it, great guys. I really like working with them. So I would recommend checking out any of these rankings. But to be honest, I can't remember who I had ranked over him. I know is a good amount. I'd say top 10 sounds about right. He's somewhere in that range. I just can't remember the exact number I had him at.
Well, who do you have number one? Who would be your number one tight end?
Travis Kelce, which Zach hates me for.
I guess that makes sense.
Because he thinks it should be.
Yeah.
Who do you have number one tight end?
I'd put Kelce one. I think Gronk is more talented, but Kelce has the ability to stay on the field more.
What is it? Well, I'm just going to throw this out there. What about Evan Ingram? Is he in the
Evan
top
Ingram's
five?
my number 3. I got
holy shit
fire statements from that.
Homer right there. That's a Giants homer.
No,
that's a huge homer. I'd put Ingram. Oh fuck! I don't even know. I hadn't even thought of it that much. I'd put Ingram probably in the back half of the top 10, but I wouldn't put him top 3.
Rookie tight ends don't ever produce. He's been on a historic pace, guys. Check out the stats.
Yeah, because fuck, I could walk into the New York Giants receiving corps right now and put up stats because they have nobody else.
You could say the same thing about ASJ, though. Don't get me wrong, I love ASJ, but he's the most talented pass catcher on the Jets. When your top guy is Robbie Anderson.
Jermaine Kearse. What up?
Jermaine, he was shipped off from the Seahawks because they went, we really just don't want to throw to you anymore.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, Kearse is doing well, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. That maybe next episode of the Afterburners.
In defense or versus Jermaine Kearse.
We mentioned the Giants a few minutes ago in terms of Ingram. One of the teams this is gonna take a little side note, guys. We didn't really prep for this, but one of the teams that's looking to shop a wide receiver, or wide receivers looking to move out, is Martavius Bryant. Any chance he lands on the Giants?
No, none.
All right, let's move on. We mentioned we're talking about ASJ. I like where this is going. We mentioned he's had his problems with alcohol a little bit in the past. Somebody else who's had their problems with alcohol, maybe he still does. Steve Sarkisian, over there, the former head coach at USC, now the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of people not happy right now. What's going on in Atlanta, Mike? Is it a combination of the two? Is it Matt Ryan just going back to normal? Is Steve Sarkisian, is he still loaded every Sunday? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I'd be loaded if I was in Atlanta every Sunday, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just a degenerate. But I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Kyle Shanahan took a lot of flack last year for the collapse that happened in the Super Bowl for getting away from the run game, which, let's be real, he shouldn't have. But Kyle Shanahan was aggressive on the play calling on the first downs for the Falcons last year.
Teams just get away from the Patriots in the Super Bowl in the run game. You got Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. You got Coleman, you got Devontae Freeman.
Right. I mean, a thing that Shanahan did a lot last year is he put a lot of guys in motion when you get up to the line of scrimmage. You get guys in motion. You get defensive pieces moving around. That's going to cause a mismatch. That's going to cause somebody to drop an assignment and something like that. Matt Ryan is a smart enough quarterback that if he sees a safety, come up or drop back, Ryan can audible at the line. It's not like Matt Ryan's sitting there calling his own plays, but he's smart enough.
For those who don't know, he shall remain nameless, but I got in a very heated debate earlier with a league mate of ours who was saying that if you've been in the league as long as Matt Ryan, you should be calling your own plays. So offensive coordinators, just so you know, this certain league mate thinks that your job is useless, essentially.
But yeah, so I mean, but Ryan's smart enough that, like I said, if he sees a safety coming up or dropping down or whatever, Ryan can audible for that. And that's what putting guys in motion does. But this year, fucking Steve's just sitting there and he's all loaded every Sunday, and the guys are staying static way more than not. So I think that's a big part of it.
Bobby, Matt Ryan, he seems to be somebody who's been very good for very long. Shed some light on what's his is he was last year the outlier? Is he kind of going back to form now, or is this year the outlier?
Last year was definitely an outlier. I like Matt Ryan a lot. I like the Falcons offense a lot. I think he's better than what he's showing now. but last year was just an insane pace that he clearly couldn't keep up. But just to give some stats, because that's what I like to do.
You are the stat guy.
The last time that he didn't have 4,000 yards in a season, you have to go all the way back to 2010. And even then, he had 3,705. Another stat here is going back to 2011, he had 174 touchdowns, and there were only Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Rivers who had more touchdowns during that time. Or sorry, no, that was more yardage. And touchdowns was Brees, Rodgers, Brady, and Rivers.
It's a lot of bees.
Wow.
Matt Ryan is an underrated quarterback, if you ask me. I mean, I know people are mad because they drafted him to be this league winner, #1 QB, but in real life, and sometimes I like to dip into real life instead of fantasy, in real life, Matt Ryan is an underrated quarterback. And even in fantasy this year, at least in their first few games, Freeman and Coleman both were getting touchdowns and scoring very well for their teams. And when that happens, Matt Ryan's not getting fantasy points unless he's throwing a screen. So that's where some of the points went to, but you're not going to hear a defense of Sark from me. I think he's done a terrible job play calling. Earlier, I was reading a thread from Warren Sharp, if you guys are interested. It's at Warren Sharp, I believe, on Twitter. I will check, if not, and post an update on my account and the Afterburner account. But he had a very good thread comparing Kyle Shanahan's calling last year to Sark's this year, and it just shows how terrible Sark's is. One last note, I think I could play call for the Falcons. It would literally just be this: single coverage on Julio, throw to Julio, double coverage on Julio, triple coverage on Julio, run Freeman. If they stack the box and somehow Julio is covered, dump it on a screen to Coleman, win the game, game over.
Man, dude, you're like Coach Bobby over here, spitting out nothing but fire from the sidelines. One thing I'm going to bring up, too, last year the Falcons played the NFC West, and they played the NFC South. They had 6 games with the NFC South. Those were some very, very bad defenses last year. Fantasy quarterbacks were really allowed to take care of them. I mean, yeah, you had the Seahawks. They're pretty good. But the Falcons weren't able to play their own defense because that's the same team. When you play the Buccaneers twice, who kind of gave some points. Clearly, the Panthers' defense was not the same as the year before. Then you got like the Rams, the Cardinals, the 49ers. I'm talking about 2016.
My boys, the Saints, who were historically bad last year.
And the Saints, yeah. And Mike, as I'm sure you're aware, the Saints were historically bad last year.
Look at Sam pulling out the facts when he said he was going to leave it all to us, and clearly he just knows more than us.
Listen, I can't be the eye candy all day here, guys. All right, like I gotta mix and match here somewhere. So Matt Ryan, right now, where are we ranking him in terms of QBs in time?
Bobby, I'll let. Yeah, that's a tough one for me. Matt Ryan's probably 10th, 14th, somewhere around there, 10 to 14 in that range.
That sounds about right. I would say I have him in that range too. I'm pretty sure I put him at my QB 10. A lot of it's kind of in flux because I try not to let recency bias impact it, but you do have to take recent events into account. So in my next update, I'll probably be moving Carson Wentz up a little bit, for example, if he keeps up this pace. Deshaun Watson, I think I already had ranked pretty highly, but he might be moving up, although I doubt he can keep up the 3 touchdown pace. But I'm someone who likes proven production over 1 year of production. So just based on that, I'd still say Matt Ryan is in my 10 to 14 range.
Yeah, I mean, you got to factor in age too. Guy was like 40 when he came into the league. He's got to be 53 now.
He's actually only 32.
Shit, he's younger than me.
He's younger than Sam too.
Easy. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, like you said, you gotta factor in the age, but I mean, you look at a guy like Deshaun Watson who's done it for 6 games. I'm probably gonna put more stock into a guy who's done it for 6 years than 6 games, but that's just me. But I mean, Deshaun Watson looks like he's a hell of an arm down there in Houston, but we shall see. I'd like to see it for at least a year before I'm buying anything, that's for sure.
Facts from the Canuck. Hey, let's go right into our top 3 quarterback dynasty rankings right now, 1 through 3. I got to tell you right now, I own one of them in our league. I'm a homer. Carson Wentz, he's in my top 3, boys. Who you got?
This actually relates really well to what I was ranting to Mike about earlier today. I think I was telling him I saw a Twitter poll that said, like, who's your top dynasty quarterback? And someone, like, 60% of the poll picked Carson Wentz over Andrew Luck. And I can't.
Well, Andrew Luck's in my top 3 too, and so is Aaron Rodgers. That's my
all right. I can't do that. I still say Andrew Luck is number 1. Some stats that I shared with Mike, I'm only going to use one of them in this particular instance. But since 1920, so almost 100 years ago.
Ah, man, it sounds so weird.
Only Dan Marino and Peyton Manning had more yards or touchdowns in the first 5 seasons of their career than Andrew Luck. So in the close to the past 100 years, there have basically been only 3 guys that have done what Andrew Luck has done in the 5 seasons he's played.
It's pretty good company.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, remember, Dan Marino was kidnapped for half of it in the Ace Ventura movie, so I'm sure that skewed his stats a little bit.
Yeah, but, those were also playoff games, so there was a playoff game. I don't really know if that goes into the entire regular season. We'll have to check the facts on that one, but good stuff there, Mike. I like it.
We'll have to have Kerry on the show. He'll start talking out of his butt.
That's right. My top 3 dynasty quarterbacks are Luck, in no particular order, Luck, Aaron Rodgers, and Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Dak, you know what? Like, I was on the fence. So I definitely have a top 5, and unfortunately, and don't tell anyone else in our league that I said this, even though these jabronis are probably going to throw this right back in my face. Dak's actually proven me wrong. He's been very consistent. I will say this. It'll be interesting if and when Ezekiel Elliott, who I think might have just gotten suspended again. Oh, no. They just took away the suspension again. Sorry. If I remember correctly, it'll be interesting to see that how that dynamic works when he's out. But yeah, Dak Prescott has really proven me wrong. The guy's like been spitting out fire. He's throwing darts out there in Dallas, making Tony Romo look like the excellent commentator that he is, and they're not losing him. So yeah, I can't really disagree with you there, Mike. It is your opinion. Just like an asshole, we've all got one.
That's right. Dak is single-handedly the reason I am dominating our league right now. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I can't say,
humble brag.
I had terrible luck in that league. I had the most points against. I had all these injuries like Greg Olson, Tyler Eifert. Luck being out for Hilton killed me. But honestly, that roster is really good. I have no idea how I'm 2-4, or now I think 2-5.
2-5.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that.
Same record as me.
7-0. 7-0.
But I will say my number 3 is Russell Wilson. So I had the same top 2 as Mike. I had Andrew Luck number 1, Aaron Rodgers number 2. Wilson is 3, and part of the reason that Wilson is 3 is since he's been in the league, he hasn't finished below QB 11 in fantasy ever, and he has multiple, and by multiple I mean 2, top 3 quarterback finishes. He generally is finished somewhere in the like 5 to 7 range, but for top end numbers, you can generally rely on him to get them. And even though he hasn't had great receivers besides Doug Baldwin, who actually is very inconsistent, if you look
and mediocre.
I still think he's great. I just think he's inconsistent, which I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but yeah, Russell Wilson would be my number 3 guy.
Yeah, I think we're just all different opinions on the number 3. We got Luck, we got Rodgers. That looks like those are both 1, 2, and all for all of us. It's just a matter of Carson Wentz here. I'm biased. Your boy, who did you say?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, and then Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it's just a matter of preference. Obviously, I'm a little biased because I've got Dak, and Russell Wilson would probably be my 4th or 5th if I had to think about it right now. I really like Russell Wilson, what he's done. Like you said, he doesn't ever really have a great supporting cast of receivers, but just manages to get it done. And this year, the Seahawks in general have kind of gone under the radar. But if you're looking at fantasy points per game, Russell Wilson's right up there with the top quarterbacks. I think he's 3, 4, 5. I think he's 6th this year in average points per game fantasy. So
and that's pretty much what he does every year, and that kind of reliability is hard to find.
Oh, for sure.
Russell Wilson, was it last year or 2 years ago where he just went off near the end of the fantasy football season? He had like 5 or 6 straight games. He was throwing 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns.
I think that was 2 years ago.
Torched the Steelers in one of those games.
Yeah.
And Mike and I were talking about this earlier. It's kind of off the topic of my top three, but since we're talking about quarterbacks that I feel are a little bit underrated, I thought I had to bring it up. To prove I'm not a homer, I'm going to say that Kirk Cousins is very underrated in terms of especially fantasy. I would sweat out a tough best ball matchup this week where I was up something like 30 points or maybe a little bit more. And the guy was saying congratulations. He pulled one of those moves where he says congrats before the game's officially over, which from our baseball league we all know is a no-no. And I said, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And then, of course, Kirk Cousins had like 29 points. I won by like 4 points, but was watching till the end of the game going, shit, I'm going to lose this thing.
Kirk Cousins, Washington Redskins fans, if you're listening, pay the man. Actually, why am I saying to the fans? Daniel Snyder, I know you're listening to us right now.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's
There's no chance.
Going to hook up with Kyle Shanahan and be a 49er this time next year.
Yep, I agree with that.
Guys, we are running low on time, but we got plenty of time for our afterburns of the week. Mike, you told me who you're going to afterburn, and I was a little suspect, but you have to have a good reason. I respect your opinion. There's probably a very good reason why you're going to burn this fine establishment.
So my afterburn of the week goes to the Wendy's fast food location on Fisher Holman Road in Kitchener, Ontario. This location is the fucking worst. A fucking monkey could run this place better than the staff there. We've all worked in fast food. You know, it's not a pleasant thing to do by any means. But if I walk in there and I say, hi, how are you today? And you're the girl or guy at the counter, don't look at me and say, good. So that's pet peeve number one.
Wow.
So
I get really salty really easily is what I'm learning. Like, never moved to New York City, you would get mad very easily.
Yeah, I would stab people in probably 45 seconds. Anyways, so the girl tells us that they have no fries, nuggets, or something else because their fryer's broken. No big deal, whatever. So my wife and I make our orders, and we get salads instead of fries. And they screw up my wife's salad. And they give us our stuff. And I'm like, can I have a lid for this, please? So I can, put my dressing on and shake it. And the girl looks at me and goes, well, I guess, but you don't really need it. Well, you kind of do. So anyways, so that's that. What else happened? Oh, they screwed up the burger as well. Ordered it with just cheese and ketchup, and everything came on it. It's not that fucking hard to not put things on a fucking burger.
Yeah, I mean, I know how you feel. I'm lactose intolerant, and whenever people put cheese on something, I either don't say anything or I say no cheese. I think you literally had to take an extra step to do what I didn't want you to do.
Right, like we didn't want my wife didn't want pickles and onions on this burger. You literally created more work for yourself.
Yep.
What else? There was something else about it too. I don't remember. Oh, so we ordered the combos.
Like the worst trip to Wendy's ever.
Yeah.
Right. So we order combos. So it comes with your burger, your side, and your drink. She gives us one fucking cup.
One cup.
I'm just like, can we have a second cup? She goes, well, you have to pay for that. I said, yeah. I ordered the combo. And it's, like I said, it's not just this time. Like, we've gone, we might go maybe once every 3 weeks or so. And every time that we've gone for probably the last 3-4 months, something's happened. So Wendy's on Fisher Holman Road in Kitchener, Ontario, you've just been afterburned.
Boom. I wish we had I wish we had sound effects for the toilet being flushed. Bobby, you burn, bro.
I guess I'm gonna burn the company Handy. I ordered a dresser on Wayfair, and they offer assembly, and they sent this guy who was supposed to assemble my dresser, and 2 hours passed, and I have now a half-built dresser sitting in my living room. He didn't finish it, and then also started to ask me for more money, at which point I very politely told him to get out of my apartment. But later, I got an email with like a bunch of smiley faces basically being like, how is your Handy service? So yeah, Handy, I'm not very pleased with you, and will never use you again.
I'm going to stick mine to football. I'm afterburning the shit out of the Cincinnati Bengals and specifically Andy Dalton because my Steelers just destroyed you. I was so happy with the second half performance of the Steelers. But I got a funny story, too. My buddy who he works in production, he actually got to go to ESPN for some filming or something they were doing, and he met Herm Edwards, and he overheard somebody in Herm Edwards talking about it last year after a Thursday night game, and Andy Dalton threw a couple picks. And I said, Herm, what did you think about the game last night? Andy did what he did, throw picks. Guess what, Andy? You did what you're supposed to do, and you threw picks. Oh, my gosh, it feels good to afterburn someone. We are running out of time. Guys, this was fun. I can't wait to do this again. Let's not be like Szechuan sauce over at McDonald's, man. Let's do this every week. We got our brand new co-host, Mike, who's been crushing it in fantasy, and he's been crushing the hosting game as well. Bobby, spitting up fire stats. And me, who's just, I don't know, the random voice of some type of irreparable logic that doesn't make sense.
I mean, what would we be without talking about your Bumble and Tinder game, which now needs to get better now that we have the podcast, or else everybody's going to know how terrible it is.
I know. I'm on thin ice here. Plus, we have the Godfather, the actual father of the name of the Afterburners. It was Mike who created it. So if you guys want to listen back on episode 1 and hear the story, we're running out of time, guys. Mike, give us some parting words. Find out where we can reach you, and then we're going to call it.
Yeah, parting words for myself. I'm just going to say right now, I've said it since the summer, my Saints are going to the playoffs. I called it in the summer. I'm sticking with it. You guys can find me on Twitter at Mike Jarvis. And that's all for me now, guys. Thanks for having me on and for letting me host this.
Sam?
Yeah, you can find me at the Needy One, THENEDIONE. We're at Afterburners Pod. Bobby, take us home.
And I'm at Wrecked Fantasy. Keep it classy. Until next time, Fantasy Twitter.